Hello, today I'm here with Aurelio, and we're going to be talking about his experience that he had while he had this course in Oxford. Aurelio,
Mhm.
how did you prepare for your time abroad? Did you face any challenges when you first got to the UK?
Well, first of all, when it comes to preparation, it was really a new experience because, to be honest, I have never been that far of my home country. So my family and I tried to tried to research everything we could about being an international student. And once I get to the UK, it was mind blowing. I mean, it was a whole different mood just being that far from home. It does set you in a different mood, and I don't think I experienced like a lot of difficulties, but it was a really interesting feeling just being there.
Yeah. It's good that you investigated and tried to prepare before you arrived. Now, based on what you investigated and what you tried to prepare, were your expectations the same? Did they compare to your actual experience, or were they totally different?
Well, to be honest, when I got to the UK, I tried not to have a lot of ideas about how was it gonna be. I try to be as open as possible for any type of experience. It could be like being in school or being with my host family, and it was a good thing that I was in that mindset because I could really learn a lot about not only the experience itself, but also about the culture. I mean, Oxford is an international city, so it did have a lot of things that I just didn't know about the world.
Did you try any techniques or methods to help you improve your English while you were in the UK?
Well, I don't know if that's so much of a technique, but when it comes to actually speaking the language, I try to speak as slow and as clear as possible. Because I mean, especially in Spanish, in my first language, I tend to rush in my words, and maybe it works in Spanish because that's my first language, but in English it just doesn't work. So I try to be as slow as clear as possible.
Now, specifically related to the classes,
Mhm.
was there an activity, a teacher that you felt really comfortable with their activities that you really liked, something directly related to the course?
Well, yes. I mean, most of the time we worked with this teacher. Her name was, I can say her name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her name was Cherby, and she helped us a lot, not only me, but also all my classmates in the group. And when it comes to the activities, I especially like the improvisation activities because it does require to have a lot of confidence. And I think that's one of the things that I lack the most. So it helped me a lot.
Now, in your adaptation, getting to used to the culture and the homestay, and also interacting in stores and other places in the city, how did the culture differ from the culture here in Mexico? Like, what customs or things did you notice were very different?
Well, the one custom, I mean, different from Mexico that caught my attention the most would be like taking off your shoes in home. Because in Mexico, we just don't do that. I mean, I personally at home, I even use cowboy boots, and here I can wear any type of boot. It was interesting, to be honest.
Okay. Well, besides the fact that it's a shoes off culture in the UK,
Mhm.
were there any types of culture that you shared or that you had to adapt to? And also, how did you share your Mexican culture, like with your homestay family? Did you share any aspects of your Mexican culture with them, or were there like an interchange of culture?
Well, with my host family, we didn't do a lot of activities, but we did chat a lot about what's different. I don't know. It could be any topic. It could be, I don't know, education or video games or sports. I Well, I mean, me and my classmate and I, we just talk about how those things work here in Mexico. And when it comes to more concrete things, I even gave my host family a Camino de Mesa. I think that's table runner from Guanajuato, Mexico, and it was really fun seeing just the differences between daily things.
Okay. How did living in the UK for these 9 or 10 days improve your speaking and listening skills? Were there any specific language challenges you've encountered or faced in that time?
Yes, especially the accent. I mean, because whenever I listen to, I mean, I do listen to a lot of stuff in English, but it could be considered to be those things to have like more like a neutral accent or even an American accent. And in some places of the UK, the accent, the British accent, is just so heavy, and I did had a hard time trying to figure out what they were trying to say to me.
Now, how about in the future? How do you think this experience that you've had will impact your future goals, either academically or professionally, especially considering since you're about to graduate?
Well, I got two major points. First of all, would be again trying to be more confident in myself. I mean, trying to be more confident in overall, because I mean, maybe in here in home, I could be so much into my comfort zone, as we call it, but out there, especially when I had to go to these places alone or with my classmates, I had to be as confident as I could, and I tried to have this type of take in my daily life, especially when I came back from the UK. And also, another major point would be just trying to see the big picture. I mean, maybe before getting to know about the experience, and maybe I didn't have like such a big plan about what I was gonna do after graduate. But after this experience, I just said to myself, "You gotta think big," you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Going back to that phrase you mentioned, seeing the big picture, how do you consider that studying in the UK, studying on the other side of the world, influenced your worldview and also your global perspective that you have?
A global perspective.
Like, for example, in my case, after having visited these places, I noticed that Canada, United States, and Mexico really have very similar customs. They have similar technologies, similar types of ways of doing things. And while we can see in Europe that, well, they have pretty much the same way of doing things on that side of the planet. For you, what is something that you feel has changed about your worldview and also your global perspective?
Well, I just think that, I mean, after getting to have the experience and talk to a lot of really smart and prepared people in Oxford, I just think that maybe in some places like my hometown, we could aspire to have a like a uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Se me fue la palabra. I mean, just trying to develop like a better dynamics when it comes to being in your hometown. I mean, all the infrastructure. I think that's the word I'm looking for. In Oxford is just amazing, and I think we could have our own take in even here in Mexico, even here in this in the small towns as they call them.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.